On this episode of In the Hunt, Jake and I preview the upcoming game against the Chicago Bears. We dive into Mike Gesicki, Charles Harris, Devante Parker. Jake compares Ryan Tannehill to a certain NFL coach, while also compares Adam Gase to a certain NFL quarterback. Let's get on with the show. Is it official now? The Miami Dolphins, they're back, right? They are back in the hunt. Which are we comfortable saying that right now? Because I wasn't in last show, which was a fantastic show. Travis Winfield filled in for me. It was a fantastic show, but as I was listening to the game, I should say, I texted Jake, "This team is awful." And Jake, what was your response in return to my text?
Before we get into that, I'm going to go ahead and say you are the Ryan Tannehill of hosts because you didn't even introduce the podcast. This is the podcast.
No. The reason why I'm not going to introduce it is because it's like the elephant in the room. Because we all know they're in the hunt right now. Like they're back. It's officially. Like they're finally where they need to be.
Yep.
Like
we're
it's like the
right
yes. The stars have aligned, and it only took us to getting to week 6 for everything to align. Normally, it aligns, or like it'll be like a disaster, like weeks 1 through 4. And then they'll kind of work their way in, and then it's in the hunt weeks 14 through 17.
Touche. So I apologize about that one, Topher. But yeah, you texted me. You didn't get to watch the game as you mentioned.
I didn't. No. By the way, yeah. Spoiler alert. I didn't watch it. I'm not going to watch it because when you're a Dolphin fan, you know how this result is. You know that when you're up 14-0 on the road or 17-0 at the road at one point, that like they're gonna stick a foot up your ass at one point, and that's not the Bengals. It's the Dolphins that are gonna stick the foot up your ass. That's what's gonna happen.
I remember when it was 17-3, and the Bengals were driving, and I actually looked at my dad and said the Dolphins are gonna lose this game, and then I just kind of like repeated it over and over until like I just accepted it a little bit more and a little bit more. But yeah, you texted me. You're like, yeah, how bad a team has to be?
Yes, it was like an obvious text, right? It was super obvious.
So just basically, like, this team was playing terrible, and I was just so, like, I don't want to talk about this.
Not now.
Where I just hit him with, duh, question mark. Because I'm like, I don't want to have this talk.
Yes, because I think it was one of those things where, like, we're both mad, but we don't want to talk to each other because it might get, like, annoying.
Exactly.
Like, it's like you needed everything. You need the grievances to air out a little bit. Because that was the game, right? Where like all of your thoughts about the team, you had your thoughts, and the way this team is built is when those mistakes are taking place and when they're playing like crap, it's like magnified like 100%. The offense has its issues, and then when you're up 17-0, all of a sudden you realize, holy crap, the offense has issues, and now like the talk this entire week is Tannehill and the offense. No one talks about the defense. No one's talking about defense, and no one should. No one should talk about the defense. And it's like after this game, it's like a war zone with terms of like, is Tannehill good? Like you have the homers out there who are like full on Tannehill guys.
You have the libs and the Dems. No, you have the libs and the
libs. It's total libs and right wingers. Like that's what it's like right now.
We need a one-syllable word for Republicans.
Fins, the fins and the tins. I didn't even know, but. It's man. Like this game, like I from reading about it, and obviously I listened, and like I said, I didn't watch it because I know this game. Like it after a while, and it falls in line with how you describe Tannehill. Is he's not the problem, but it kind of reaffirmed that he's not the problem, but you can't have your quarterback, which is arguably the most important position on a football team, be average. And be part of the problem that, like, if things are going bad, he can't go bad with it.
He's not
and
the
that's
answer.
What he's done.
He's not the problem. He's not the answer. He's just a different equation.
And it just makes he's just a different equation to get to the equation. And it's like we all, like, look at ourselves. It's a big looking in the mirror contest now. And I didn't want the conversation to start this early with the Dolphins on, like, it's clockwork. Tannehill played bad. It was on the road. They were up 17-0. The offense didn't work, and it's like, all right, well, let's go start looking at drafts now.
It's horrible because you're up 17-0, And if you're like watching the game from the outside, you're like, wow, like the Dolphins are pretty good. But if you're like a Dolphins fan watching this game, you just see how the drives were ending. I mean, one of the two touchdowns was a Jakeem Grant special teams touchdown, and then the other one was a Kenyon Drake where he just roasted a linebacker. It was a straight just talent, scheme. It was like what we wanted from Adam Gase. So we didn't really see anything like good. We saw Tannehill huck one like so far downfield on 3rd and 1. That was a turning point of the game. If you didn't watch the game, so you didn't get to see this. But Tannehill.
I chose not to.
It was for the best because Tannehill rolls out right on 3rd and 1 near midfield. 3rd and 1.
Okay, I did read that. I was reading it through Twitter that like all you had to do was just get a first down, and yet you throw it downfield.
But he decides to be super like I'm playing on All-Pro for the first time. Ryan Tannehill guns it downfield, and not only did he have Kenny Stills wide open, he underthrew him. He could have planted his feet, threw the ball like where it landed in like his breadbasket. Nah, he underthrew him. So on 4th and 1, you just see that stupid smile while he's coming out the field, and I'm just like, Jesus freaking Christ! It's like when you're sitting there and like say there's an avalanche coming, and you can only watch. It's like when you're Wile E. Coyote and like the big safe is just falling on you faster and faster,
and you just stare at it,
and all you have is the sign that says "Help me" because you're fucked. That's watching this game because that 17-0, I wasn't really comfortable. I mean, I thought for a second like, wow, we're gonna be 4-1. This is gonna be great. I mean, since he's not, I don't think they're a good football team. I think nobody's talking about the defense, but they're freaking awesome. Jerome Baker looked great. The secondary is. I want to watch this unit for years, and they're just getting wasted right now because the offense is just like flopping.
Yeah, and my fear with this defense is that they wear down. That the offense isn't good enough that they start to wear down towards the end of the season because they just can't keep up with it. They can't keep up with the workload. They can't keep up with the amount of plays that are on the field. They can't keep up. The health is going to deteriorate because they're being overused. Because the offense sucks. Like, and this is the most frustrating thing. And when I was listening to you and Travis, is like, Travis said it perfect that like all these coaches, all these players were like raving about Adam Gase, like raving. I mean, Elway, Peyton Manning, Wes Welker, and like it's like, what do you have to show for that? Like, is that just typical like job referencing butter up, or is he legit that good? Because you haven't seen it. Like, we've seen it the first year, and ever since then, and I'm not going to make excuses. Like, you wanted Jay Cutler. Like, you brought him in.
Yep.
And nothing has kind of like, you've seen like bits and pieces of it. When we've discussed him as like possibly like the Dolphins' next Don Shula. Like, that's been talked about, and who knows? Like if he's playing, if the team is like this and the offense is like this, he will make it out of a contract. Like, he'll make it to that last year, and then that's it. And then the whole thing's blown up again, and we're back at like square one of just a hamster spinning wheel of mediocrity.
And people, what I've seen in a lot of columns this week are people using the R word, regress. Ryan Tannehill has regressed, and I still cannot figure out how to word this because anytime I try to bring something up like this on Twitter, I just get like attacked. But oh my God, he's been the same guy for 7 years. He has not regressed. It is the same player.
It's the same thing.
The point of wanting Ryan Tannehill and the point of wanting him to come back is the development, the understanding the offense, the being just better. And it just hasn't happened whatsoever. I mean, you look like under pressure, he is the second worst quarterback. Josh Allen has a rating of like 1.9 under pressure, and Tannehill like is second worst at 20. And people want to argue, well, he's developing. You won't get this out of a rookie. Dude, he's the second worst quarterback in the league under pressure. You didn't see, but Laramie Tunsil goes out and he crumbled. And the worst part is he didn't have to play good. He just had to not turn the ball over and play.
Be a game manager.
Exactly. We needed Alex Smith, and he couldn't even give us Alex Smith. Like it's that.
Speaking of that guy, are we confident that can we say that Alex Smith is better than Tannehill now? Like the fact that we like the whole Albert Wilson cracking the code.
I don't know because did you watch that Monday night game? Alex Smith Didn't look.
Well, that's the Saints. Like that's the Saints. Anybody goes like that's. I think like a game like that where Breeze could break a record. Like
That's
that
true.
has the
At
makings
home.
of a disaster. Like that has the makings of getting mopped up at home, unless you're New England. Um, but yeah, just that game, man, was so deflating because the game against New England, you were like, you wouldn't be shocked. You know what I mean? Like you weren't shocked at that outcome. Like you've seen that out. Being a Dolphin fan, you've seen that outcome for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but I've seen the Dolphins win against Cincinnati. I've seen them go into like Green Bay and win with under like Sperano.
exactly, and that's why it just bothers me when people want to use the term like regression. And
No,
the
that's who
more I
he
look at it,
is.
I don't like it's just things haven't changed. Like to regress, you need to reach a point of when you're playing better. And Tannehill's had those games when he had Devon Best and Brian Hartline as his wide receivers, where he had good games. You think that Arizona game, and he'll have those games where he could put up 300 yards, and then he'll put up 2 weeks in a row where he only throws for 100 yards. It's not something new with him. It's been the same
In a passing
guy.
league, where the rules are catered towards your quarterback. Like they literally like Mitchell Trubisky, which we're gonna get to him. He put up a game 2 weeks ago that I don't think I've seen Tannehill ever do.
No.
Like there were like I in our little group chat on Twitter, I asked Eric, hey, like, are we ever going to see a game that Tannehill puts up the way that like these quarterbacks, like Ryan Fitzpatrick, like 3 straight games with like 400 yards and like 5 touchdowns? Like you would think we would stumble into that, and we haven't even stumbled into that kind of game where like you're jacked up over like Ryan Tannehill because he's just slinging all over the field. And that's what's like frustrating. But like, let's get to the Bears, man. Like we got to stop this because this is turning awful, and I would shock me if people unsubscribe after that.
Well, if you unsubscribe, resubscribe, and then comment.
Yeah. Resubscribe, comment, and tell us what your problem was. And follow us on Twitter at MIA in the Hunt. But yeah, Jake, let's get to this game. Let's get to this Bears game. They're coming off a bye right now. They're coming. Trubisky played amazing his last game that it was against Tampa, if I'm not mistaken. They played great. They're coming down to Miami, and they remind me of like this Bills team of a couple years ago, where they have this nasty defense and like subpar offense that could do enough damage to win a game
and take advantage of
Yes.
little opportunities. Yeah, the thing about the Bears, and they were a great example for me, is when I spoke about how the Dolphins lead the league in turnovers, and they had a couple more against Cincinnati, where they weren't getting sacks, and everyone came back with, well, they're getting the pressures, and that's a result in the interceptions. No, because you look at this Bears team, they're first in the league in sacks. They might, having a bye week early absolutely screws with that a little bit, and then they're second in the league in turnovers. So this team is going to be terrifying to face. As do we want to start with the Dolphins offense against the defense?
We know how it'll turn out. I think the offense will show something. Actually, I really do. It's 2 weeks. They're at home. They play better at home. I think the offense will actually be pretty good, but they're just gonna. They can't. And they're gonna get this, but they can't afford it. Where they have the drive that just completely destroys the team. It'll be the drive. It'll be this play where they get out of field goal range over like a penalty, or it'll back them up within their own 10-yard line, and they got to punt after that because they can't get anything going. Like that's what's going to happen to the offense. But I think that I think they'll be able to do something. Like you would think they've done it before. Like I said, like we've seen it where this team had like a crappy offensive line, and they went against the Bills. And granted, they would lose against the Bills, or they would beat the Bills, the Jerry Hughes Bills, like those Bills teams. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like 2013 Rex Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah. We've seen that where they've beat them, and we've seen them play the crap, and that reminds me of this type of game right there.
The thing I saw when you see the string of games, including Houston, Cincinnati, the Lions, the Bears, is you can't turn the ball over. These are teams that, Deshaun Watson's played well, but he's one-dimensional. These are teams that are very one-dimensional. The Dolphins held the Cincinnati Bengals one-dimensional most of the game. The stats don't look that way because Joe Mixon kind of broke out near the end. But if you keep scoring or keep adding the field goals, if they could have, they turned these teams one-dimensional, and the Dolphins' defense can stop anyone in the passing game. I don't care. I'm making that statement. So the Dolphins cannot turn the ball over. first and foremost, they cannot turn the ball over. At home, you need the crowd in it. You need the heat in it, because we saw that once that Cincinnati crowd got going, that's when
that's when the Avalanche came.
The sirens were going to evacuate, but it was just way too late. So I think it starts again, and I hate to say it, with Tannehill. He's gonna miss the throws. He's gonna maybe miss people who are wide open. Kenyon Drake might drop another touchdown or something like that. But
you just can't get those sacks, man. You can't get those dumb sacks.
Take the sacks. Just don't fumble the ball. Don't throw the dumb interception off a frickin' lineman's head. Tight end's head. It's the things like that where it's like, bro, what are you doing to this game? Because the Dolphins could have stopped them, but you cannot stop. The Dolphins' defense is very good, but they aren't good enough to stop the opposing defense. They're just not on the field for that.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins defense will be good. Trubisky, his stats are skewed because he only had that one game where he had 6 came in one game. But I'm reading your show sheet, 8 touchdowns through 4 games. He's a second-year quarterback, so he's not a world beater. Right now, he's athletic, but that doesn't really mean much if you could just contain him. The guys I think you got to look out for are Tariq Cohen and Trey Burton, those guys. But I think they could be. I think that the Dolphins could win the game because of their defense, because you're going up against an average offense.
Exactly.
And that's the only reason why I'm doing it is because of the Bears' offense. That's why I think they're in it. I think the Dolphins' defense. The Dolphins' offense could do something. We think they can, right? They can't be bad 3 games in a row, right? Or actually,
no, they can.
6 games? 6 games? Are we? How comfortable can we be saying the offense? How many games the offense has been bad? How many games can we comfortably say?
I think we could just say 2 because they did
kind of have losses.
A couple plays. Yeah, because the offense. People had Tannehill in the MVP debates after 3 games, and then
that's a stats based. That was a stats based talk.
Yeah,
that wasn't our traditional MVP talk.
But even then, it wasn't until after the 2 losses where people were starting to tweet out, well, if you take away the 2 pitch pass touchdowns, well, you can't do that. You can't. Those, yes, everybody has those passes. They're passing plays. And I guess you can't even say they're hollowed stats, but you just see that this isn't something that's going to work all the time. And it's just, returning to the mean. I think everybody kind of saw that coming. So the only thing is, I'm pretty confident that, maybe Tannehill only needs to lead 1 touchdown drive, because you mentioned Trubisky has 8 touchdowns in 4 games. 6 of them came 2 weeks ago, and the Bears are coming off their bye, which terrifying me, especially that defense. But if they just can't turn the ball over, I think Trubisky's going to come into this game, on top of the world as a world beater. Then they're going to think they have a system that works until Xavier Howard and Rashad Jones take his lunch money, and it's going to be fantastic because he has 2 touchdowns outside in the other 3 games. The 2 touchdowns, let's throw this out there, was a career high for him in his 2nd season, which is blasphemy. Could you imagine having a quarterback in your first year and well, okay, I guess it's a Jared Goff under Jeff Fisher. He had what's his face there?
Lovie Smith. Oh no, that John Fox.
John Fox.
No, it was
John Fox.
Yeah, the first year.
So yeah, those are kind of the excuse coaches, but at Spin Zone, I think the Dolphins have the excuse quarterback.
The excuse quarterback.
We have the Jeff Fisher of quarterbacks, and he's holding back our Jared Goff coach. I'm saying it.
Wow.
Yep.
That's genius. That you could be onto something.
I think we're
because I said earlier, people have described Adam Gase as this football genius. And how would we feel do you think Adam Gase could sit there and say plays and give you specific moments in a game like that one video of Sean McVay doing it?
I don't know, but I don't necessarily know if that makes you a good coach. Yeah, it's great to have that sort of memory. I think
it's cool. It's cool. It's badass. It's badass, though. It's so badass.
Yeah, but the football's a week-to-week league. Teams look horrible and great one week to the next. Where that's freaking awesome that you can do that. You can remember the play and the scenario, but I don't think that's that you don't need to every time you interview a head coach. You don't need to ask questions like that. I just don't necessarily know if that has anything to do with it. I think, just like when we go back to what, everyone was saying great things about Gase, where if it quacks like a duck and walks like a duck and the score is this bad, what happened to the duck? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And I saw this tweet on, this was actually one day ago, it was at WB Keen.
Good guy.
And this is fascinating. It was kind of discussing how, basically how we're built different, Dolphin fans.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And it basically, just to add to the last part, I suspect there'll be more of that story this season. I wouldn't be surprised if Miami beats Chicago this week and somehow manages to do something like lose to Buffalo twice or blow more 17-point leads. It's just the way it goes. They're built to win this game just because it's annoying.
Yep.
And you wouldn't be an in-the-hunt team if you win this game, where you play like crap, you lose 2 in a row on the road, and you come home and you just win. And it's going to be the most frustrating win, but they win, and it's going to, no one – at the end of the day, people might not care anymore because the book is out on them. You have Jeff Fisher as quarterback, and you have Jared Goff as coach.
You need some sort of help. Yeah. The when you look at the spreads of Gase's record and everything, home to away, and I guess the same goes for Tannehill. It's insane. The Dolphins are just a much, much, much better team at home, and play calling isn't what's different. I don't know if it's a quarterback being scared or a quarterback not being confident in himself, but that's the biggest difference. I mean, you could talk about the play calling was very bad. And the play calling hasn't always been the best, but I wonder if it's just trying to do whatever they can to try to help out their young 30-year-old quarterback who's just trying to figure out how to make it in the NFL.
Larry Tunsil needs to be back, right? The fact that he was hurt and for 4 minutes the team fell apart. That tells you how good he's been playing this entire year. Outside of his stupid bonehead penalties, false starts, holdings, and all that. Outside of that, he's been great, and it showed with him not playing.
Exactly.
It showed that, all right, we got Sam Young. Holy crap, it's basically Jonathan Martin out there. It's basically, you know what I mean? Those old offensive lines that the Dolphins used to have under Tannehill where it was just a turnstile.
It bothers me, though, because the Titans, when we faced them, they let a tackle left early. They were without another tackle, and the Dolphins couldn't get any pressure. The Raiders have been starting 2 rookie offensive tackles. The Patriots have a makeshift line every year.
And yet we can't do anything about ours.
We can't do anything about missing one guy for 3 plays. Yes, we can talk about how Sutton's gone for the year and how Kilgore's gone for the year, and the Dolphins' offense still looked good. They could patch those holes, but I guess that's the limit. You have 3 guys gone, and that's when it turns to a disaster. You only have 2 good backup linemen. It just seems like you just using the offensive line is the excuse. Just
do you think that the key to the whole thing is just getting Devante Parker back consistently?
I think that would be awesome. I want to talk to you about this too. I don't think he wants to play. I do not
really
think he wants to play. It's just I don't know if I'm going to be ready this week. And what happened to I always make fun of people for this when, a coach says the cliche and players we're going to go out there, we're going to play hard, I'm going to believe in my team, I'm going to expect for us to win, I'm going to give it all I got. When has Parker ever said that? When has Parker ever been I'm excited to be a Miami Dolphin, I'm excited to play this weekend, I'm excited to, be on the field, I'm excited to score my first touchdown, I'm excited to score more than 1 touchdown this year. He's just such a, bore, and I don't think it's because he'll sit there and make jokes on Twitter and talk crap. I just think he is so miserable in Miami, and I think those trade rumors, there's 100% something to it.
Oh, with Mike Lombardi?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the most kind of what passion we got out of him was when he was mad that he didn't play, and that was against the Jets, right?
He was just kind of, now it's, I don't know, maybe I'll play. And Gase is this is weird. We don't understand why he's getting hurt. He's not even bashing him anymore. He's just Gase is kind of giving up where he's I don't freaking know what's going on anymore. We have this first round pick who's making probably.
Well, it's just the thigh injury came out of nowhere. And it was finger the entire time. And then it was against New England, right? Thigh.
Yep. And I was listening to the Thursday night telecast last week. I think they were talking about how if you're playing, you're hurt. That's just the way it is.
Everybody.
Everybody is hurt. So it's this is just ridiculous. Where
I like that theory. I like that theory that he doesn't want to play anymore. That like, or he's just waiting to leave Miami and he's just trying to preserve his body.
For the
But he
3
hasn't.
games he's got.
But he hasn't done anything to like where like you could understand him like preserving his body.
Right.
He's been hurt the entire time.
Exactly.
And which is like frustrating because maybe they just need like I think like the offense issue part of it is they just don't have like that big body guy to like just kind of like stretch the middle of the defense. It's all these little scat dudes, these little children that they have who are like 5'8", who are really fast, but like you can't win like that. You need some dudes with some size. Like, you know, Kenny Stills is tall, but like you know what he is. Like he's our deep threat.
He's not going to catch something like 15 yards over the middle. And yeah, this is why I've been screaming all year when people, I'm going to bring it up every podcast because I'm just so salty and petty, where they're like, we need to get Wilson in more and we need to get Grant in more. No, we have Mike Gesicki who has 8 catches for 77 yards. That's less than 10 yards of freaking catch. And you have this huge tight end who's supposed to be a seam threat like Travis and I talked about. Someone who can, you know, give Tannehill what he wants. Someone who can catch that seam route over the middle. Those are the chunk 15, 20-yard plays. Those are the singles and doubles. But no, we're going to keep doing this gimmicky crap because I guess that's all Gase feels comfortable with.
Mike Gesicki reminds me of that meme. It's like it's a stick picture of like a guy with a stick pointing at something saying, do something. Like that's Mike Gesicki and the Dolphins offense.
That will be on Twitter tomorrow. That's good. I like that.
Do something. Like, because like I'm reading right now. I had to go to Barry Jackson's article again, by basically saying that he said that Gase said tight end Mike Gesicki's route running has been good. He's made a lot of strides in blocking, and you're just like, bro, this is your second round pick. Like, do something.
You drafted another tight end in the 4th round to block.
To do that.
You drafted Anthony Fasano in the 4th for this very reason.
You know, and that's what's frustrating is like talking about and hyping up the offense, you know, because of the moves they made in the offseason, because of Albert Wilson, because getting rid of Jarvis Landry. I would kill for Jarvis Landry right now. I'm not going to lie. It's just different. Like, give me that.
It's not. It's been the same.
But like, you know what I mean, though, right? Like, at least at least this dude, he's not afraid to go across the middle.
They need a possession guy. I'm not going to hate on him. I think Wilson's been awesome. I think he's been a great signing.
He's been great.
I don't know if Amendola's 3 catches a game for 30 yards is really worth another $7 million that he's making. But that again could be how Gase says, after games where they're running wide open and Tannehill's just not looking to him whatsoever. So
maybe.
So it's hard to just be resolved.
We got to have Gesicki's got to get involved. More than anybody. Like, you know what you're going to get from Albert Wilson. Like, you're either going to get a big play or he's just going to get nothing really.
Yep.
And with Gesicki, like, you just want him to get hit. And you're like, oh my God, that's our tight end.
He did. He made a great catch. He was Tannehill's 5th option on a 3rd down. It was a 3rd and 4. And Tannehill waited till, there's literally, I forgot who, Carlos Dunlap's face mask was in his face mask for him to throw it to Mike Gesicki. Caught it in the middle of traffic, got smoked, completed it 1st down. So freaking hard to do.
Yeah, man. But, Gesicki's got to get going, and that's what adds to the whole frustration of it, is the offense isn't good right now. And we have the answers as to why it might not be good, is because a lot of players aren't getting involved, and the players you want to play aren't playing. Devante Parker, that could be reason. He just doesn't want to play football anymore. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to play Miami anymore. And Gesicki, the dude's got to do something. I'm not blaming him. I'm not blaming him though.
No. Don't. Don't you dare talk about our sweet prince.
Let's move on to Charles Harris though. What do we do with this guy?
Oh, God, I talked about that with Travis a little bit, and I was kind of going to ask you this basically in another way of how excited are you to have Andre Branch and maybe Cameron Wake back so we could just push him farther down in the roster?
Okay, so it's kind of, so you're just happy that, he could get pushed down in the roster a little bit more?
Yeah, I don't want to see him on the field. I'm just, I have no problem, even with, Tannehill, Harris, Parker, any of these guys, if they make a play, I will support it and be happy about it, of course. But
you're not going to fight to the death.
The Harris whiffed on 2 sacks last week, and one of them resulted in Andy Dalton finding Joe Mixon for their only offensive touchdown until the Avalanche. And that's the kind of stuff where I'm not blaming the defense whatsoever for that game, but Charles Harris could have gone a long way in making a name for himself and, putting his stamp on the game, and he just can't do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, by now, like, you at least want to see hope. Like, be a football player. Like, act like you belong in the league, and the only thing we're waiting for is just you to get it all together. And I don't know what he does good besides get close to the quarterback.
Go off sides.
Go off sides.
Topher, with that, where can you find this podcast?
You can find this podcast on iTunes. Just really honestly type in Miami Dolphins or type in, In the Hunt, a Miami Dolphins podcast, and you'll see us. Please click subscribe, like us, review us, listen to us, please. But yeah, man, like, you can find us on Twitter at MIA in the Hunt. You can find my Twitter handle at Cochran108. Jake's at JMendel94. Jake, are they winning this weekend? Yes or no?
Boy, that's
it. That's it. Fins up.
Wait, I'm just going to throw this out there, too. Our episode with Travis and also with Greg Rosenthal, these are timeless episodes. I know we do a lot of previews and recaps where those might get old and stale, but Travis gave us a lot of great stuff, and Greg was a lot of fun to have on. We talked more about the Dolphins in general, and we had a lot of fun with that interview. So look for those episodes if you're trying to go back and find some other things, and you think, maybe some recaps about the Titans and Raiders or even the Patriots seem a little stale. That's where you really want to go. You'll find some good stuff there. But you're right, Topher. Fins up.
Fins up. So, Jake, do you think they'll win this weekend?
See, it's horrible because we do this podcast, we put the time in, we tweet, we do all this stuff because we're fans. We want to see them win. And I think what you said after the Patriots game was just so spot on, where I'm just going to stick with it because I don't want to say it's a cop-out, but it's a cop-out. I'm not going to pick them until they prove to me they could win. So I'm going to go, Bears 17, Dolphins 3. Just a really, ugly, probably turn the ball over a couple of times. That's probably the only time the Bears really have a good drive going. What about you?
Yeah, I think they'll win.
You're 24. This is the second time you picked them this year. That's it.
24-17. Well, I mean, because I try to go in with, being a Dolphin fan, it's very pessimistic of me, right? Not, picking them to lose these games because it's just a Dolphin thing. But this is a game that it wouldn't shock me if they win. Not to say that they won't, the offensive line won't be good.
Right.
But I think this is a game that, they could win. It's winnable.
I really wouldn't be surprised if they did win too. That's the thing. I wasn't surprised when they're up 70-0 on Cincinnati. It's all about playing clean football, and what's the biggest part of this entire thing? That right now, as we mentioned at the top, they're in the hunt, so they're going to be comfortable. They're used to this. This is like you were away at college and you had maybe an uncomfortable sofa that you and your buddies found or something, and now you're back home. You're on that your couch, right where what crevice to slide into, right in that sweet spot. That's where the Dolphins are right now. So I definitely would not be surprised if they come out as world beaters against the Bears.
And that's why I think they'll win, is because this is right where they have their fan base right where they want them. Fins up.
Fins up.